Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet the Expert. I am here in VMworld 2018, very near the vBrownBag stage, and I am very pleased to introduce Lior Kamrat. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Lior, I know very little about you, but I do know some things. I know that you're a VCDX.
Yes.
I know that you're from Israel.
Yes.
And I know that you work for Microsoft today.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Okay, but the whole point of having these videos is to get to know you.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, okay, this is a lot of accomplishments and a lot of really cool stuff. How did you start in IT? Tell me about your journey from wherever you started to now.
So, I think I de-assembled a computer at the age of 7. That was pretty much the start. All the screwdriver at the age of 7, and after the service, or in Israel, you have to, to do the military service. After the service, I joined an SI based in Israel, like a system integrator based in Israel. I joined the Unix team.
That's a great way to start.
Yeah, so I used to do a lot of Sensolaris, those kind of stuff with, with big ass, sand blades and those things. And from there, I spent a few years. From there, I took a system administrator role in one of the Israeli colleges, and then moved to a better place, which got, that was the electrical car company, and then joined VMware. That was pretty much like, wow.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you started, because you make it sound easy. It's no way not that easy.
Well, so after doing the Sensolaris stuff for maybe a couple of years, I wanted to go to kind of more independent role. So the system administrator role, I used to do a lot of, so I started with virtualization, probably with the GSX, right? And from there, with the system administrator role, I took this role because I wanted to be more independent. So I had like me, and I managed a couple of guys, and just doing VMware stuff for the college, VMware and Citrix stuff for the college. And I fell in love with the technology, and like everyone here, and from there, joining another big company, which was Better Place, was the right way to go. And from Better Place, managing like a bigger infrastructure and designing stuff, from there going to VMware was the natural thing.
So when you went to VMware, did you have any certs at that point? Were there any certs? What version? What version are you talking about?
I started with VCP3. Yeah, so that's how old I am. I started with VCP3, and I did all the certs. All the way to the VCDX. This is where I stopped, basically. Back then,
back then it was only DCV anyway.
Yeah. There was no. I'm not sure if there was a program back there. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So I started with the VCP3. When I joined VMware, I did the VCP5, and the VCAPs were part of me being at VMware.
So what role did you join in? Because you made a big vendor transition there.
Yeah. So I joined as a PSO consultant.
Very cool.
Right. So
a lot of faith in your abilities.
Yeah. So that was actually. I remember the first day taking a picture of the the VMware logo at the offices in Israel, and that was a big day for me, because that was like, all right,
that was a dream, right?
Yeah, achievement unlocked, right?
Yeah. So
PSO role, did a lot of customers in Israel, including enterprises, and small companies as well, working with the military, working with government, and I just moved up the chain a bit until I decided to move on, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did the VCDX come into play, into you saying, what? Because I've seen it inside VMware that maybe the certs are not that important. They're mostly like, oh, well, you get the certs for applying to another job, but inside VMware, at least in the SC, TAM space, VCP is fine. When did the motivation for VCDX come, and how did that go around?
So the motivation came from multiple angles, right? I think the first one, so as part of being part of the ecosystem, as part of being part of the community, you see a lot of other VCDXs, and you just wanna, all right, I need to do this because I don't want to stop, right? So that was the more, banalic reason to do that. But I didn't do the VCDX to apply for another job. I did the VCDX to
personal validation.
Just personal validation, really, just personal validation. And I actually designed the solution in a way that I can shoot for double from the get-go. So I did like I had this 350 pages big ass design, and I just submitted that, and then do another submission just for the vSphere part, right? So I started with vCloud Director and then moved to, which is kind of the opposite way around of how people are doing that, but something felt more natural.
Was vCloud Director something that you, so as VMware progressed and branched out, what other technologies did you fall in love with? Was vCloud Director one of them?
vCloud Director is probably, until today, is probably the best product that I love about VMware, right? I mean, it's my favorite product until this day, because something about vCloud Director is terrifying, but then when you're starting to, decoupling, and just untangling that spaghetti, it makes a lot of sense. And actually, the complexity of the design that I went with made me, fell in love with vCloud Director even more.
Cool.
And because I like to butt heads, like I like to do this. And other than vCloud Director,
that's a very important part of VCDX process, right? Being able to defend your opinions and really understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to see what are my limits, pretty much. And I remember those nights, going through vCloud Director and watching all these blog posts and videos and designing around that. It was hard, but something about that product is, and I'm happy that VMware continued to develop that product, because there was I remember a time that it was kind of like on the fence. Are we doing this? We're not doing this, and I'm happy that now there's a new version and everything, which is cool. I mean, I believe in that product, so cool. That's awesome.
All right, so let's pivot of why you left VMware. And did you immediately go to Microsoft?
So I spent like 3 months with the same customer that I did the design for, but I decided, that decision wasn't the great decision that I made.
You went from vendor back to customer?
Yeah, and a hard customer. I mean, very demanding, and I was kind of split in the middle. But then, the Microsoft offer came. So when I moved to Microsoft came, and specifically the Azure, the Azure program came with this thing called Azure 300. So basically, they recruited 300 architects across the globe, and I was lucky enough to be one of those.
Now, tell me the truth. Did they grab you because they knew you knew VMware? Or did you also have already started an Azure track and become known in that community?
I knew zero about Azure before joining Microsoft. I had no idea what is Azure. I didn't know. I actually got asked in the interview, hey, can you show me how do I do this and that in the API or in the portal? Or I was like, nope. I don't know, but do you want me to tell you how can you work with VMware customers? Yeah, I want you to tell me that. And I was like, all right, I can do that.
Yeah.
And from there, the discussion went off, and they didn't the Microsoft thing didn't happen because of because I knew something. It was because Microsoft wanted someone that can actually speak the language of the the VMware crowd and the VMware customers, and it was kind of native. So
how long have you been with the Azure team now?
So 3 years total. 2 years in Israel as a solution architect for Israeli companies, startups, enterprises, and almost 8 months in this role and 4 months here in the States. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a big move.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the different years in working for Microsoft. Like, what was the highlight of year 1? What was the highlight of year 2? Because I know at this point you're working from Microsoft with VMware, developing solutions.
Yeah.
So tell me some big highlights of your progression through Microsoft.
So when I started, like in the first role that I took, I didn't have a lot to do with VMware. I mean, I had to do a lot with enterprise customers, and naturally VMware is there all the time. But my role was to design Azure native based solutions. It wasn't about, hey, can I do this or that with VMware, and it wasn't like that. But you know that as much as I do. When you're part of that VMware community and ecosystem, you never let go. So what happened is that I saw an opening that's saying, hey, we need a program manager that really knows VMware. and I didn't know what it's all about. And that actually, that made sense because of my plans to move to the States anyway. So I was trying to do that for a few years. I couldn't do that, and then this offer came, and I was like, all right, that kind of makes sense. And I started the process, and one thing led to another, and I found myself in temp housing in Kirtland next to Seattle, which was kind of cool. So today what I'm doing is I'm responsible for, so I have multiple tracks that I'm responsible of. I have the direct integrations that Microsoft are doing with VMware, like Horizon Cloud, NSX Cloud.
So you're involved in those products?
I'm involved in those products from the engineering side. So I'm part of a group called Azure Specialized Compute R&D, which basically our sole intention is to unblock customers from going native, right? So Horizon Cloud and NSX Cloud are kind of in that mix, right? And also virtualized automation and the other SaaS offering coming with VMware IoT, all those things is part of my role as a program manager from our side. And there's also the track that is kind of like super NDA stuff that we're trying to do with you, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a cool role. I get to play with VMware toys and Microsoft toys.
It is no secret. Even Pat Gelsinger has said it on financial interviews that they're trying to get VMware software running on Azure backends, right?
Yeah.
So to get access to the Azure services as well. So I hope that day comes. I won't push you to say anything.
Yeah.
But well, coming back to something that, and I'm big about community.
Yeah.
Coming back to what you were saying about that this community never lets you go. How did your friends and your overall community take you going to Microsoft? And is this your first time coming to VMworld since you went to Microsoft, or do you come every year?
No. So so last year in Barcelona, I actually had the same session that I did today with Shika Mittal from.
Go ahead and plug the session so we can see it later.
Yeah. So it's what's new with Horizon Cloud on Azure. It was a good session. I mean, it's nice to see the progress that we did like with 8 months. So, I mean, in Barcelona last year, I was on stage as a solution architect. Back then, I wasn't even sure that I'm going to switch to that role, which was kind of weird, right?
A testing phase.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the community part. If you're talking about Microsoft and VMworld and all those things, I'm getting a lot of love, I gotta tell you. I thought,
Well, Satya has made a lot of changes in how Microsoft is being perceived.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see that. I mean, you see all these people and just talking with all your friends and meeting new faces, which is awesome. And when people approach me, hey, so Microsoft, right? And if that was like 4 or 5 years ago,
a different story.
A different story, and the fact that we have a booth this year, that's just amazing.
Well, I didn't even know there was a booth for Microsoft. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You might even see them sponsoring VMUGs. That would be amazing.
Actually, we are in the mix of actually coming to VMUGs as well.
Very cool.
Which is very cool.
And that shows as well that VMware has pivoted from being like keeping my VMs inside me to being whatever you need to do, we'll help you get there.
Yeah, and I love that approach. I mean, VMware, I think they understood that they are the on-premises octopus that wants to go to, and catch all those whales, that are the public clouds. And they have an important role of being that glue. They have a very important role because, I mean,
it's not easy.
It's not easy, and on-premises is not going away anytime soon, if any. So they have an important role in that space, and I believe in the mission statement. I really do believe in the mission statement, and I hope we're able to execute all the things that we want to execute. I mean, it's very important to us as Microsoft as well.
I'll stop talking work. I'm going to give you short questions, quick answers.
Sure.
Favorite food?
Spaghetti.
All right. Let's do thing that you want to learn right now.
Things that I want to learn right now. Machine learning.
It can be anything, like career or whatever.
Machine learning. Yeah.
All right. If you were to give someone advice on how to start learning more about Azure, where would you point them to?
So we actually have a program for 1,500 free Azure credits. So if you'll go to msdn.com, you'll get that. If you go to azure.com or we'll click the sign up for free, you can try that. There's a lot of, and I noticed that recently, there's a lot of resources at Pluralsight. There are new courses coming out. I saw that like every week. Linda, which is part of LinkedIn, which is part of Microsoft, that's also another good resource. And Udemy. I saw a bunch of stuff going on over there. And you know,
if any V expert out there wants to know if he can get a special thing going on to get more into Azure, should he go that way? Should he ask you? Do you know a person that they should reach out to?
I mean, definitely you can reach out to me and I can try to point to the right direction, obviously. I think the information is out there. I mean, it's not a small company, the information is out there, the marketing machine is working very hard. So
I was trying to stay away from it and I still ask you about work, right? But I know all the V experts are going to be like, oh, let me see what Lior said.
Yeah, but it's all good. I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's super important for, you know, V expert and people in general to just expand their horizons, you know, and just try to touch things that they're not touching on the day-to-day basis, you know, and who knows what will happen.
Okay, so last question. Let me think. All right. This is typically I had forgotten I did this. Anything else that you want to say to the camera, to anybody that's out there?
I mean, if you are part of that community, keep contribute. Be part of that. Don't be shy. I remember my first VMworld maybe 7 years ago, something like that. I was kind of anonymous, I didn't know anybody, but you know, you need to climb, you need to scratch, you need to learn. Just continue doing that. I mean, it's not that hard to say hi, and it's not so hard to, you know, to learn.
And spend a little time with someone.
Just keep on doing something. Just don't stay, you know, just don't stay put. Just keep on doing something.
All right. So that will be it. Thank you, Lior. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.